Welcome to another video from Gweilo 60. Today we're going to be talking about what kind of foreigners you're going to meet in China. Well, you know, Chinese people have this insatiable urge to learn English. So I guess it's because it's the language of commerce that's used in the world. And we know Chinese like money. So universities, middle schools, grade schools, high schools, they all teach English to one extent or another. So the first group of foreigners that you're going to meet in China are usually English teachers. They're a younger crowd, they're an educated crowd and an adventurous crowd. They enjoy the adventure of teaching in a foreign country. They enjoy hanging out at the Queen's Head pub here in Nanning. They they enjoy just the weather, the living in China. You know, that's a first question. Wow, one of the first questions that any Chinese person will ask you when they see you on the street. Are you a teacher? Are you an English teacher? Are you a professor? Are you a teacher? You know, the second question they always ask is, where are you from? But they expect you to answer, yes, I'm a teacher. So this is probably the largest group of foreigners in China, is the teaching crowd. China accepts a lot of foreign students into the country every year. And you know, they're a noticeable group, especially around the universities. And because I live right next to Guangxi University, I see a lot of foreign students. You know, most of them are from either the Middle East, India, or Africa. You do see, you know, students from Russia, the Ukraine, places like that too. And I would say they're probably, if not as large of number of foreigners as the teachers, it's pretty darn close, you know. But you know, it's a visible difference between the teachers, which are predominantly white, and the students are, well, I should say, Indian, Middle Eastern, African. So you know, you've got that type of foreigner, I guess the white and the non-white foreigner from different parts of the world, I guess is what I'm trying to say. The third group of foreigners that you're going to meet in China are the married guys. Sort of like me. I'm a married guy, and the guys that I hang out with in Nanning are mostly married guys of anywhere between 57 and 70 years old. You know, it's not a younger crowd. Actually, no, I can't say that, because I have met a number of younger guys, but they're usually teachers that have, during their teaching experience, have met a Chinese girl, got married, and actually had kids, bought houses and stuff. You know, so the married crowd can include teachers also. I find that most of the married guys, though, are the older guys that come over, get married, usually a second wife or even a third wife. Who knows? You know, if you're not lucky in love in your own country, I guess come to China. Yeah. Anyway, you know, that's the third, and probably the third largest group of people in China is the married crowd. You know, because Nanning is the last stop before Vietnam, a lot of tourists that are traveling through Southeast Asia stop in Nanning for 3-4 days while they're waiting for their Vietnamese visa. So you do get a lot of tourists coming through, but short stay tourists coming through Nanning. Actually, I met one Bart. This guy rode his bike from the Netherlands to China, and he was on his way through Vietnam. Who knows where he ended up, but you know, I think he was on the road 6 months when I met him. A young guy, different, I guess, if you're going to be riding your bike through Iran and places like that, but he did, and he had the stories and stuff to prove it. You know, I include in the tourist group of people, you know, people that come over to meet Chinese girls. You know, met online, whatever. And then things don't work out. They end up spending their 2 or 3 weeks here, hanging out at McDonald's, eating KFC and Pizza Hut and stuff, and 2-3 weeks, and then they're gone and you never see them again. You know, so we have that group too, and that's probably the fourth largest group of people in China is the tourist crowd. And I'm not talking about Beijing or Shanghai where you see a lot of tourists, because Nanning, being a third-tier city and being sort of off the beaten path, doesn't see a lot of tourists. People don't come to Nanning to see the sights. They should, because this place is beautiful, but they don't. It's just too far away. Like, we're an hour and a half from the Vietnamese border. I think about a 6-hour bus ride from Hanoi, and we're about an hour and a half from the South China Sea. So we're down in the really south corner of China. The fifth group of foreigners that you're going to see in China are, I don't know how to put this, guys that come over that, I don't know, take advantage. How do I explain this? Okay, you get a whole bunch of, or you don't get a whole bunch, you get a person, say in Canada or the United States, and they really don't fit in. They're introverted. They, you know, they have no friends. They're sort of loners. So they come over to a place like China thinking that they're going to fit in China, and they don't. Okay, and you get about 10 or 15 of these people in a place like Nanning. Okay, so they're not good on their own, because they wouldn't talk to you if you stood right in front of them. But in a group of 10 or 15, well, it gives them confidence, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So these guys have confidence enough to approach girls and sit in coffee shop and heckle Chinese girls, and, you know, just make all foreigners look bad. And you know, this is the smallest group of foreigners in Nanning that I know of. But this group of foreigners, because of the way that they act towards the Chinese people, especially the younger girls, make, as I say, make all of the foreigners in Nanning look bad. These are the type of foreigners that I wish the Chinese government would just revoke their visa and just don't let them back into the country. You know, and these guys are usually the age of, I'd say, 68, 67, up to about 80 years old. So if, you know, if you're not grown up by that time and you have to come to a developing country to find a girlfriend or to buy a girlfriend, because see, these girls that go out with these guys, they're not doing it because they think these guys are good looking. They're not doing it because they're in love with these guys. They're doing it because maybe they're poor and they need money. Maybe they have been told by these guys that I'll take care of you, I'll get you a visa to my country, you know, I'll help you get out of China, I'll help this, I'll help that. Where, you know, after these guys have been doing this for 10 or 15 years around Nanning, you know, it's just a whole bunch of bullshit. And, you know, that's the fifth group of foreigners that I just have no time for. So recap on the types of foreigners that you're going to meet in China. First, there's the teachers. Then there's the students. Then there's the married guys, old married guys like myself. And then the tourists. In Nanning, the tourists are a smaller group, not like Beijing and Shanghai and Guangzhou and places like that. And then there's the group that didn't fit in at home and figured they'd fit in China, and they don't fit in China, so they all group together for confidence, and then they can talk to girls and make fools out of themselves. Yes, that's the 5 groups. I'm sure that there's more than 5 groups, and if I miss one of these groups, let me know in the comment section right at the bottom of the video. So any one of the people watching this that are foreigners in China that watch my channel, maybe make a comment down below which group you fall into, and let's see how many fall into number 5 group, or we'll admit it. You know, when I initially came over to China, I was in the third group, the tourist group. I was here on a 2-week visa, and I married, I actually met my wife, and by the end of that 2-week visa, my wife-to-be and me were back in Canada drinking Tim Hortons coffee and eating donuts at the Vancouver airport. We just got lucky on a visitor visa, and you know, because it was a one in a million shot, but we thought we'd take a shot at it, because why not? And it actually worked out for us. Just about 15 years later, 15 years in August, we'll be married 15 years. So I guess it all worked out for the best in the long run. From a tourist in group number 4 to a old married guy in group number 3. Wah! That's another video from Gweilo 60. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button. Thanks for watching. Bye now. I'm sure that everybody wants to be in group number 1, 2, 3, or 4, but not in group number 5. I'm really curious to see if anybody will admit to being in group number 5. We'll wait and see. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video on this video, depending on the feedback I get from it. You know, if it's something that people are interested in, yes. If not, no.